Namaste. Welcome to everyone to our continuous studies of synthesis of yoga. We are studying at chapter 3, the threefold life, on the page 23, and the last para on the bottom starts with, nevertheless, it is possible to make the material man.
So, Swamda is discussing the threefold life. Just a brief background to what we are discussing, because you may have lost the thread. The threefold life is, first of all, man has the choice of a physical vital life. Maybe a huge number of human beings live at that level. They just are not aware of anything else, any subtler planes of consciousness. They are aware of the physical world. And so they go through thinking that the physical world is real. This is the material life. The physical, the bodily life, he calls it. Then the second possibility, the second life possible for him is the mental life. Take the researchers, the philosophers, the thinkers, the scientists. They are interested in knowledge for knowledge's sake, not knowledge for the sake of applying in life. Okay. Then the third possibility is the spiritual life, the divine life. So he has been discussing the material man. And material man, he can have a little bit of intellectual life also. And can he have, now he is going to discuss, can he have also a spiritual life, or at least a little bit of that? He is interested. So Swamda is saying, even the material man, in the previous para he has said that something of spirituality can be given to him, but he makes it more a religion than spirituality. And he has faith in the priest or the learned theologian, and he respects him. And he expects the priest or the theologian to supply him spiritual food. He has used the word pabulum. That means spiritual food. So most people are satisfied by going to church or by going to the temple or to the mosque. And they are satisfied with whatever the priest or the mullah or the whatever. In India we have the priest, and in the West you have the what do you call him?
Father.
Okay. And in Islam you have the mullah, and you believe in them. Okay. That's what he said in them. So the spiritual life becomes more a religious life. Now he is discussing whether a progressive, one by one he is discussing all these things. So we will read the para and then we will come back to it. It's a very small para, not a big one. Nevertheless, it is possible to make the material man. I am reading the para. Nevertheless, it is possible to make the material man and his life moderately progressive by imprinting on the material mind the custom of progress, the habit of conscious change, the fixed idea of progression as a law of life. The creation by this means of progressive societies in Europe is one of the greatest triumphs of mind over matter. But the physical nature has its revenge, for the progress made tends to be of the grosser and more outward kind, and its attempts at a higher or a more rapid movement brings about great wearinesses, swift exhaustions, startling recoils. So, he is saying that even the material man can be given as an inkling of the mental life by moderately suggesting that you can progress. Earlier we have discussed in 3 paragraphs, he has told you that the characteristic energy of bodily life is self-preservation, self-multiplication, self-reproduction. Okay? That means to say they are interested, the material man is not interested in progress, but how to maintain the status quo. Then he comes to the mental life. Values change entirely. The mental life, they are interested in knowledge, they are interested in change, they are interested in progress. Okay? So the material man, can a little bit of that mental progress idea be given to him? That's what he's discussing here. So he says that yes, some moderately you can put into him. And he's giving an example. This is what happened in Europe. Okay? The mostly material men, but the idea of progress was there. he uses this progress, material progress, not spiritual progress or mental progress, but the idea of progress is there only in the mental life. So a little bit of that can come to the material man, and he is giving the example of Europe as such. He uses the word, the progressive mind. The progressive mind is a mental person who is interested in progress. And he says that after the Vedic period in India, the progressive mind disappeared in India. That's why there was this great fall. Okay? In the Vedic period, there was a good deal of even material progress. We know very well that there was all the Shastras were there, the 64 Shastras, and they are all related to the physical world. Metallurgy, okay, economics, the
Ayurveda.
art of Ayurveda, medicine, Sushrata was there.
Astrology.
All these things, astrology, okay, and all these things were there.
All science.
Yeah. But then that disappeared, okay. And he is explaining why. That explanation of why is that towards the end. We will see that, okay.
Can you explain this last line?
Yeah.
So nature has this great weirdness, swift exaltation, starring recoils.
Exactly. We'll
what
discuss
it
that.
happens?
Yeah, we'll discuss that.
Okay. Oh, sorry.
Okay. So I go sentence by sentence.
Okay.
Nevertheless, it is possible to make the material man and his life moderately progressive by imprinting on the material mind the custom of progress. He has used the word material mind. You must also know that there are grades of mind. When in evolution, life comes out of matter, there is the combination of life and matter.
Yes.
Then when mind also evolves and man comes into the picture, there is a combination of mind with life and matter. Okay? So you have a material mind, which in Indian philosophy you call the manas. The manas is the one that it's a part of the brain, but it interprets only the senses. Nothing more. No original thinking, nothing.
Then buddhi comes.
That's a material mind. Then you have the vital mind, that which supports the desires and the ideas and all that. Then you have the pure mind. The pure mind is
buddhi.
That which is interested only in knowledge. Buddhi. Okay?
And vital mind, what do you call vital mind? In Sanskrit, what do you call vital mind?
I'm not sure of the... Anmol, there is a corresponding Sanskrit word for my vital mind.
Manas, buddhi, in between nothing.
Manas is there, and they also say chitta. Usually the word is chitta for the substance.
Subconscious.
Vital substance with mind a little bit is chitta.
Okay.
In fact, the four elements are what you call the antakarana. The four psychological states are buddhi, ahankara, chitta and manas.
Ahankara is self, no ego.
Ahankara is ego.
Ego.
Yeah. Ahankara is ego. That which creates so these are the four antakarana, the instruments. So you could say that chitta is the vital stuff.
The word manas is used kind of interchangeably for sense mind and vital mind. Like you are in the Gita, manas chanchalam asthiram. So he's saying it is chanchalam and asthiram, but he's using the word manas.
Yeah.
So it may not be properly speaking the sense mind.
Yeah.
It could be a vital mind.
In fact, in many ideas, often the words don't correspond, just like in translation. Okay, there are shades of meaning in Russian which we don't have in Hindi or in English. So it's exactly the same way, because it's a continuum. It's not like a staircase. It's a continuum. So it depends on where you're drawing the line. So in Sanskrit, you don't have a word really for the vital mind.
So material mind, it is on the plane of manas, no?
Yes.
Not buddhi.
No.
Buddhi is intellectuals.
Buddhi, also, there are two types of buddhis. The buddhi is the pure mind, intellectual mind or reason.
Okay.
But there is also a superior buddhi which is spiritual. They use the word buddhi for spiritual mind also. Okay.
Thinker or from capital T or the spiritual person.
That's right. Okay. So, now it is possible, he is saying, to even the material man, to give him the idea of progress. And that's what happened in the West, he is saying, okay, as a law of life. The creation by this means of progressive societies in Europe, they are not spiritual. Okay? And they are also not very, very always mental. But a little bit is given, because purely a mental man will be interested only in knowledge for knowledge's sake. But in the West, they have used knowledge for practical effects in life.
Yes.
Okay? How to use, at the moment you know that there can be a energy is there. So how to apply it in life to have benefit from
Yeah,
it.
have a electricity bulb, for
Yeah.
example.
So all
right?
these things is always related to it's not really for knowledge's sake. You're getting the knowledge and applying it in life. Okay? So that's what he's meaning by the idea of progression as a law of life. Progression in the sense of progress. Okay? The word progression can also mean a series. Okay? But here is meaning progress. The creation by this means of progressive societies in Europe is one of the greatest triumphs of mind over matter. If you are living only a bodily life, there is no mental
But
life.
he used capital mind here.
Yes. Because he is talking of the principle of mind.
Okay.
Not
Which is working through the manas, etc.
Yeah, it includes all.
Okay, includes all.
Includes all. And it's a principle of mind that the world of mind.
Okay.
Okay,
Mental.
that's what he means. Matter also is putting
Matter capital.
MCAP, which means that he is talking of the principle of matter. Okay, but the physical nature has its revenge, for the progress made tends to be of the grosser and more outward kind, and its attempts at a higher or a more rapid movement brings about great wearinesses, swift exhaustions, startling recoils. Now what he means by that? Usually, when at our level, I'll begin with a very simple example. When I make a big effort to improve myself, I have to put in a lot of energy. But then I get tired and I want to rest. This is a phenomenon that happens, it comes up even in nature, he is saying. Universal nature also the same phenomena comes up. When there is a intense movement upwards in all civilizations, Aztec civilization, Greek civilization, Indian civilization, the Vedic period, there's a big uprising of progress. Okay, there's a rising of progress. But then there's a fall back. There's another way of explaining this also, that there are so many elements in you. There's the vital, there's the body, vital and mind. And all of them are not equal. The progress of each one, the idea of progress varies with each one. So when the mind is making a huge progress, it has to the others have to catch up. So there is a dropping back. It is something like, I like to give the impression of, suppose our children in school, during the holidays, 50 people will decide to go walking to Jinji, which is 75 kilometers away. Okay? So 50 people are going. All of them will not walk at the same level. So they go, and then some will be 2 miles ahead and some will be 2 miles behind. So the ones who are ahead will say, wait, let's wait for the others to catch up. So nature also is something similar. This is what happens. So the Vedic period was one example. There was a fall back. And he is saying startling recoil, swift exhaustion, great wearinesses. This is what happens in the individual life, as well as the collective life, as well as in universal nature.
One thought came to my mind reading these lines, that recoils could be of nature when human beings are using resources of earth very much, like digging and all, and then that some storms, some changing of weather, so that could be recoils from nature. Nature does not like so much intervention in her things, no?
There is, at all levels, there is this, the principle of status quo. It corresponds to tamas. Tamas is the principle where you want to maintain the present condition. No change. That is tamas. And it's got a value. You have to understand that tamas also is a value. So when there is the principle of sattva rises, tamas is insisting too much. No, not so fast. So come down. So this is what happens. I don't know if storms and earthquakes are really of that nature, but they are phenomena which happen. But this is talking of the mental life. He is talking of when the mental progress is there, there is a fall back to the physical level.
Okay.
So all the civilizations that vanished, this is the phenomenon that occurs. Whether it be Greek civilization, or whether it be Mayan civilization, or Aztec civilization, or the Atlantis, okay, or even in the Syria, there was a Chaldean civilization which was also Chaldea. Okay, so this is what happens. There is a fall back until there is a progress, sufficient progress, material progress. Surely the material progress that is now available to mankind was not there to such an extent in the Vedic period.
No.
So there was a fall back. Okay, that's what he's saying. So clear?
Clear.
So now he is going to talk about the mental life. He has spoken about the material man, and that he can be given a little bit of spirituality, he can be given a little bit of mentality also. Now, further, we go to the next para. Okay. It is possible also to give the material man a life and his life a moderate spirituality. Again, he is talking of moderate because he is material. That's why. Mental life also possible, moderate. Spiritual life also possible, moderate. By accustoming him to regard in a religious spirit all the institutions of life and its customary activities. The creation of such spiritualized communities in the East has been one of the greatest triumphs of spirit over matter. Yet here too there is a defect, for this often tends only to the creation of a religious temperament, the most outward form of spirituality. Its highest manifestations, even the most splendid and puissant, either merely increase the number of souls drawn out of social life and so impoverish it, or disturb the society for a while by a momentary elevation. The truth is that neither the mental effort nor the spiritual impulse can suffice, divorced from each other, to overcome the immense resistance of material nature. It's not enough, he is saying, to overcome the immense resistance of material nature. She demands their alliance in a complete effort before she will suffer a complete change in humanity. But usually these two great agents are unwilling to make to each other the necessary concessions. So now the language is very involved, and we have to give examples to ourselves to understand what he is saying. I am reading from the beginning. It is possible also to give the material man and his life a moderate spirituality. So, what is it? Here also he is saying material man and his life. Earlier also he has said material man and his life. So what does it mean? Why is he making a distinction? Because material man would be the individual. But the material man and his life in general, I think that's what it means. Okay? So, a moderate spirituality, a moderate mentality, possible. Okay, like in Europe. Now, moderate spirituality as in India. Okay? But it becomes religious, not spiritual. He is explaining, and we'll give examples. The creation of such, no, I didn't finish, no?
Yeah.
By accustoming him, habituating him to regard in a religious spirit all the institutions of life and its customary activities. In India, you can see that. Everything that is there in India, religion is brought into it. Whether a child is born, whether the first time he is going to eat solid food, whether he is going to be educated, every time there is a religious ceremony. Okay? Suppose you are moving into a new house, religious ceremony. Suppose there is a marriage, religious ceremony. Not only going and getting registered in the registry office. Everything in life, even if you are beginning a conference, you begin with some prayer. You recite some shlokas, you light lamps. Everything in India is related to religion. Okay? So that's what he's saying. Okay? Customary activities. The creation of such spiritualized communities in the East has been one of the greatest triumphs of spirit over matter. So, earlier he has spoken about the influence of mental life on the material man in Europe.
Yeah, mind
and
over
here in India, It is spiritual, but it becomes religious, not spiritual. Yet here too, there is a defect. For this often tends only to the creation of a religious temperament, the most outward form of spirituality. The religious temperament is the most outward form of spirituality. But we mustn't think that religion is absolutely divorced from spirituality. A religious man can become spiritual, because after all, religion means you are having either an aspiration or you are having devotion for the Lord, and that can easily spill onto the spiritual life. It can happen. So, most outward form of spirituality. Its higher manifestations, even the most splendid and puissant, either merely increase the number of souls drawn out of social life and so impoverish it, or disturb the society for a while by a momentary elevation. So he is saying, very interesting what he is saying, he is not talking of only the spiritual men. He is talking of the material men who have a touch of spirituality. So what does that do? It does not solve the problem of the physical world of going to the next level. He says that it is, you take a man who is capable of higher thinking out of social life, and society suffers for that, because it is left to itself without progress. That's what he's saying. Okay, so its higher manifestation, even the most splendid and puissant, either merely increase the number of souls drawn out of social life and so impoverish it. Society becomes poorer because the real talented people are going out.
They lose in there.
That's what he means.
Yeah.
Okay, or to disturb society for a while by momentary elevation. Okay, disturb society by momentary elevation. This is also a principle in life you will see everywhere. When there is an institution and there are rules in the institution, if you try to improve it and bring some improvements with new rules, there is always a protest. This is something very interesting. You can see that in India now. Okay, Modi is trying to bring in Sanskrit, he is trying to bring in the Gita in school. Protest, violent protest. So everywhere, you try to introduce new improvements of new rules, protest will always be there. So here what is happening? Society is being disturbed. So that's what he's saying. Momentarily there is an improvement, but then that's all. It doesn't solve the problem. What is the problem he is speaking about? He is speaking about the going to the spiritual level. That would be the real solution. All mankind has to be spiritualized ultimately. That is his problem. The truth is, now that's what he's coming to. The truth is that neither the mental effort nor the spiritual impulse can suffice when it is divorced from each other, okay, to overcome the immense resistance of material nature. The immense resistance of material nature is to maintain the status quo. He has told you that the bodily life, the principle is self-preservation. It's the tamas, the principle of tamas. Let the present situation stand. Let there be a fixity of forms. That's all. So that's the immense resistance of material nature. So, the truth is that neither the mental effort nor the spiritual can suffice, divorced from each other, to overcome the immense resistance of material nature. Neither, so there has to be a combination of the two. That's what is coming to. Okay, she, who is the she?
Nature.
Yeah. So she demands their alliance in a complete effort before she will suffer a complete change in humanity. That's this sentence is a key to Sri Aurobindo thinking. There has to be a complete alliance between spirit and matter. Otherwise, spirituality can never be common in the physical world. That's what he's saying. She demands their alliance. In A God's labor, he uses the words, marrying the soil to the sky.
Yeah, so beautiful.
So, the two has to be absolutely compatible with each other. Because the spiritual man is going away and leaving the physical world as it is. So it doesn't work. That's not.
Hereby alliance, it doesn't mean the alliance of matter and spirit. Hereby alliance means the alliance of mental effort and spiritual impulse.
Yeah.
Hereby alliance, he means the alliance of mental effort and
Is not enough to change the physical.
Okay.
Okay? Even the two together will not be able to bring any change in the resistance of material nature.
No, but he's saying that material nature demands the alliance of the mental effort and the spiritual impulse in a complete effort before she will suffer a complete change in humanity.
Yes,
So basically, spiritual impulse and mental effort cannot remain divorced. They need to be together.
But the divorce is also from matter also. That is Sridhar's main idea. Isn't it?
But here is not saying that. In this sentence, he is not saying that.
Implication is there. Implication is there. Okay? The truth is that neither the mental effort nor the spiritual impulse can suffice, divorced from each other, to overcome the immense resistance of material nature. Okay? She demands her alliance in a complete effort before she will suffer a complete change in humanity. But usually, these two great agents are unwilling to make to each other the necessary concessions. Neither the mental life nor the spiritual life. They will be at loggerheads always. Okay? Those are the two chapters in the Life Divine. The materialist denial and the ascetic refusal. So that's what he is implying here. We can go to the next para. So,
the mental life.
Yeah. Now he comes to the mental life. He has discussed the bodily life and how mental life can affect it a little bit. It can have an effect, as in Europe. There is a lot of progress, physical progress. In India, even spirituality can affect the
Life.
the bodily life, but it becomes more a religious ceremony. But still, it's better than a purely material man.
Mm-hmm.
Now he comes to the mental life. He will discuss that. Okay? Then finally he will go to the spiritual life later. The mental life concentrates on the aesthetic, the ethical, and the intellectual activities. Essential mentality is idealistic and a seeker after perfection. The subtle self, the brilliant Atman, is ever a dreamer. A dream of perfect beauty, perfect conduct, perfect truth, whether seeking new forms of the eternal or revitalizing the old, is the very soul of pure mentality. But it knows not how to deal with the resistance of matter. Okay? There it is hampered and inefficient, works by bungling experiments, and has either to withdraw from the struggle or submit to the grey actuality. Or else, by studying the material life and accepting the conditions of the contest, it may succeed, but only in imposing temporarily some artificial system which infinite nature either rends or casts aside or disfigures out of recognition, or by withdrawing her assent, leaves as the corpse of a dead ideal. Few and far between have been those realizations of the dreamer in man which the world has gladly accepted, looks back to with a fond memory, and seeks in its elements to cherish. Okay.
Footnote. There is a footnote also.
Yeah.
You see below?
The footnote is for?
Atman.
Yeah. The footnote is
Atman.
for
Atman.
Atman.
Mm-hmm.
Okay? Yeah. Who dwells in dream, the inly conscious, the enjoyer of abstractions, the brilliant. He is quoting from the Mandukya Upanishad. And who dwells in dream is to be taken in the sense of the subtle world. Because the Upanishads make a distinction between three levels.
Turiya
Level
state.
1 is...
Turiya state, no? Dreamer.
Yeah, that's the fourth.
The
fourth. So the first one is the gross world. The second is the dream world. Subtle world. They are different. If you want to say gross world, you have to say subtle world and causal world. So this gross world is Virat. The subtle world is Hiranyagarbha. And the
dreamer is a Turiya, no? Dreamer is a Turiya.
Turiya is the fourth.
It's not-
Unmanifest.
Okay, sorry.
Turiya is the fourth, unmanifest. So, you can use different words and they use different words also. You can say the gross world is a waking, jagrat. They use the word jagrat. I am fully aware. Okay? So, that's a gross world, jagrat, or you can use the word virat. That's the description of the physical world. Then you come to the subtle world. The subtle world is the dream state. It's not jagrat anymore. Okay, I'll tell you, there's something very interesting, this description. Then the third one, which is the causal world, is sleep world, sushupti.
So this is a dreamer, no?
Yeah. And then finally you have the turiya, which is the fourth. That is the unmanifest.
Unmanifest.
Okay. So, if you want to use the word gross world, you have to say subtle world and causal world. If you want to say Virat, you have to say Hiranyagarbha and Karana.
Karana, okay.
Prajya. That
Prajya.
also is there. Yeah. Prajya or Prajya. You can use both. And if you want to use the image of waking, Jagrat, Swapna, Sushupti. Sushupti is deep sleep. This is to bother me a lot. When I am Jagrat, actually I am ignorant, I am sleeping from the spiritual point of view. So this was a big problem to me. What do they mean by Jagrat? They are using in the ordinary sense. Okay?
Gita even has a verse for this.
Huh?
Ya Nisha Sarva Bhutanam Tasyam Jagrati.
Yeah. So, Jagrat is the waking world, dream world is the subtle world, and the deep sleep is, because usually in spiritual experience, when you are in the higher planes of consciousness, you are conscious, you are in trance. You are not aware of the physical world. Therefore, it is called the sleep world. Okay? Sushupti, deep sleep. And finally, the last one is the turiya, the fourth, unmanifest. We know nothing about it. Okay? That's what he's saying.
He's explained this in that small booklet called The Philosophy of the Upanishads.
Yeah. There also it is there, yeah. So now he's talking about the mental life concentrates on the aesthetic, ethical and intellectual activities. Not interested in the physical world, neither in food nor in clothing. Okay, so the mental life. Essential mentality is idealistic and a seeker after perfection. But note the word ethical. When the mind tries to bring perfection, its highest achievement is morality. So that's why he's saying nature will destroy that. Okay, he'll explain that. Morality is a product of the mind. It's not a spiritual creation. Morality is a product of the mind because it wants progress. Essential mentality is idealistic and a seeker after perfection. The subtle self, the brilliant Atman, is ever a dreamer. Okay? It is dreaming of ultimate justice. It is dreaming of ultimate perfection. It is dreaming of ultimate removal of all obstacles and removal of all imperfection. A dream, there you are, a dream of perfect beauty, perfect conduct, perfect truth. Whether seeking new forms of the eternal or revitalizing the old. Because in many civilizations, the old values were there. So you are revitalizing them. Like in India, the Vedic period had many, many values. You are now trying to bring them back. So revitalizing the old or new forms of the eternal is the very soul of pure mentality. Progress and change, that's what he's saying. But it knows not how to deal with the resistance of matter. Mental life does not know how to conquer the resistance of matter. There it is hampered and inefficient, works by bungling experiments, and has either to withdraw from the struggle or to submit to the grey actuality. The idea of absolute justice and beauty does not work in the physical world. That's what he's saying. It never works. And he will tell you later on something very interesting. Okay? Nature will not allow it, he says.
Why?
We'll come to that and we'll see why. Okay? So, and has either to withdraw from the struggle or submit to the grey actuality. This is there. We can explain with many other examples also. Even religion, okay? in Europe, what happened with religion? Even in India, what happened with religion? You want perfection. You want that man should be absolutely not a sinner. But you compromise, okay? You compromise. A priest comes and when you are going to die, in the Christian idea,
okay, that way.
yeah, he has to go to heaven. So you absolve him. Okay, so there's a compromise. That's what
Indulgence of sins.
Huh?
Indulgence of sins.
yes.
What you have done.
So the mind has to compromise. That's what he's saying, okay? In India also there are so many different types of things, okay? The priest and so has to withdraw from the struggle, okay? Your idea of perfection will not work in the physical world. Or you accept the grey actuality, a combination of the two. Okay, perfection not possible. Relative perfection I will accept. That's what it's meaning. Grey actuality. Or else, by studying the material life and accepting the conditions of the contest, it may succeed, but only in imposing temporarily some artificial system which infinite nature either rends or casts aside or disfigures out of recognition, or by withdrawing her assent, leaves as the corpse of a dead ideal. What does it mean? Okay. We want perfect justice in the world. Everybody must get justice. Does it work? Never.
So far not.
Everybody should tell the truth. Does it work? It does not work. Okay? Nobody should kill anybody else. There should be perfect. Murder is not allowed. Does it work in the world? It doesn't. So that's what it's meaning, that the ideal, mental ideals don't work in the physical world. Okay? And he's saying nature in the physical world is saying to mind, oh, you want perfect justice? I'll give you a lesson. He'll kick justice out. That's what he's saying. Okay? Leave as a dead corpse. He's using very strong language. Okay? Or else by studying the which artificial system, which infinite nature either rends, destroys, or casts aside, or disfigures out of recognition, or by withdrawing her assent, leaves as the corpse of a dead ideal. The ideal of justice becomes dead when it is in the physical world, and becomes only a corpse, a dead body. Truth becomes falsehood. That's what he's saying. You can see that if you look carefully in history, you will see that that's happening all the time. Okay? So few and far between have been those realizations of the dreamer in man, which the world has gladly accepted, looks back to with a fond memory, and seeks in its elements to cherish. So very rarely is that possible. That's what he's saying. Okay? When the gulf between actual life and the temperament of the thinker is too great, we see as a result a sort of withdrawing of the mind from life in order to act with a greater freedom in its own sphere. The poet living among his brilliant visions, the artist absorbed in his art, the philosopher thinking out the problems of the intellect in his solitary chamber, the scientist, the scholar, caring only for their studies and their experiments, were often in former days, are even now, not unoften, the sannyasins of the intellect. To the work they have done for humanity, all its past bears record. So he's saying, the mental life, when it sees the imperfections of nature in nature, gets disgusted and withdraws. And they go concentrate only on their own work. The attempt that is made to bring those ideal principles into life does not work. So, in a frustrated spirit, they withdraw from it. That's what he's saying. Okay, so to the work they have done for humanity, all its past bears record. So, they are able to do some work and give new ideas and new principles, and the world is all the past bears record. They do give certain principles. even if at the most material level we see, the one who is, take Thomas Alva Edison, the most common example we'll take. He was not interested in food or clothing. He is interested only in discovering new things. And he discovered the bulb by how? 250 times he is supposed to have tried, failed. But he is not discouraged. He is not a physical man. He is going on trying. Finally, after 250 attempts, he makes the electric bulb. Now, society is benefiting from his work. So, philosophers, when they come and give a new principle, then that becomes part of society and society benefits from that. That's what is meaning by the last one. To the work they have done for humanity, all its past bears record. The one who, I am taking only of the scientific, but we can also think of philosophy and also the spiritual. They leave something to the rest of humanity, but they are concentrated only in their own field.
He used interesting expression, sannyasins of the intellect.
Yeah, that's right.
So nice, no?
Because the sannyasin, who is the sannyasin? The sannyasin is the one who gives up the physical world.
So the intellect, no?
Yes. So he is the sannyasin of the intellect. He gives up the physical world, not interested in it. And I'll give you an instance, a very interesting instance of Thomas Alva Edison. Okay, how he was not interested in the physical world. Okay, when he discovered the wireless, telegraphy, some businessman came to him because he has told you earlier that in the West, new discoveries they want to immediately apply in life. It's not only for mental knowledge. So they came to him and said that we have done this, very good, we want to use it commercially, so we'll give you $1,000 and you can sell that patent to us and we will use it. So he said, fine. So they gave $1,000 and he gave the patent to them. Then the businessman told him, sir, we have to tell you that you are a very impractical man. So he said, why? They said that we would have given you 10,000 rupees, $10,000 if you had asked for it. But we gave you 1,000 and you were satisfied. Then he replied to them, I am sorry, but you have not understood anything at all. If you had given me 500 also, I would have accepted. That shows how he is not interested at all in the material world. So that's why they are saying they withdraw from the imperfection and concentrate only on their own work. Okay. So.
Thank you.